hello to everyone following us today. First of all, I would like to thank Squarespace for inviting me. I'm very grateful to be here with you today, and it's an honor to share my insights on building inclusive web experiences with such an amazing lineup of speakers and talents of a passionate community of designers and developers. My name is Regont Arnori, and I am based in Oslo, Norway. I am a partner at the Inclusive Creation. We are a small IT consultancy company that focuses on helping businesses create inclusive workplaces, products, and services. I specialize in universal design of ICT, and what that means is creating products and services to be usable by all the people, regardless of abilities and disabilities. I have a passion for building brands, storytelling, and web design with focus on the principles of inclusive design. In addition to my responsibilities at Inclusive Creation, I'm also a circle partner for the Nordics region at Squarespace. Today, I'm really excited to share how we can make web experiences more inclusive by using powerful tools that we have available in Squarespace. And in addition to that, I'm hoping we can make a mindset shift to see things from a different perspective and have a more empathetic approach to how we design and how we develop. What I will be covering next is to share with you a bit about my work, my journey, my learnings, how that has impacted my development. And I will briefly cover 5 foundational aspects of inclusive design. Then I'll share with you 2 of my favorite concepts that I consider to be a bit more advanced and require a different way of thinking around them, and that go beyond the traditional approach. So, over the past 7 to 8 years, I've had the privilege of working with a diverse number of clients, including motivational speakers, a famous philanthropic figure, and several construction companies in Norway. And I have advised plenty of other companies and institutions, both as a conference speaker and through different international projects. Throughout my journey, I've learned that successful digital design is as much about understanding people as it is about mastering technology. Working with such a varied clientele has helped me uh, uh, understand the importance of truly listening to people's individuals' vision and goals. And I've learned that it's about creating relationships, and that is done by simply listening to your client. The second thing is about creating tailored solutions that resonate with your client, but also aligns perfectly with their unique brand identity. And the third thing is that these experiences have deepened my appreciation for designing web experiences that are personal, but also universally accessible, ensuring that digital spaces that I create are functional, but also meaningful. And my goal today is to get across these strategies to you, and so that you can apply these strategies to your life and your work, and you build websites that meet accessibility standards, but also in addition provide engaging, seamless, and barrier-free experiences for all people. What I love about inclusive design is the positive side effects that it creates and the impact it has on other people in all the positive ways. It allows us to make a real difference in how people interact with technology and how they interact in the digital world. Inclusive design is important for 3 main reasons. There's the business element to it. It expands your audience reach, making your products and services accessible to a broader and more diverse customer base. And that ultimately leads to more growth and more revenue, which means more profit for you. Then there's the legal argument. Inclusive design is our human right. Many countries mandate accessibility by law, and it's essential to comply with these regulations and to create experiences that are good for all people. And then there's the moral element to it. Designing inclusively is the right thing to do, as it ensures that all individuals, regardless of abilities and disabilities, have equal access to information and services, and that fosters a more equitable and a better society. Now, I would like us to shift our focus on what we can start doing today in Squarespace to put this knowledge to practice. and that is number one, structured headings. Properly structured headings are really important for accessibility in our websites, in particular for screen readers, because it allows users to navigate through the website using their keyboard. The positive side effect that this creates, that I mentioned earlier, is that this also improves search engine optimization, because it communicates a sort of hierarchy of content to search engine. And the best practice to do this is for you to start in every page with a heading 1 in the main page title, followed by a heading 2, and then a heading 3, etc. for subheadings. Remember to avoid using headings purely for styling purposes. For example, choosing a heading 1 just because it's larger in size and it sort of fits with the styling that you wish to create. And what you can do instead is Squarespace has this tiny neat feature that I like, that it resizes text. It looks like this button of these two opposite arrows, and it adjusts the size of the text to be as big as the text container without altering the heading structure. So it helps us fix the styling and aesthetics on our page without compromising accessibility. The second thing is the color contrast. Color contrast matters because sufficient color contrast ensures that the text that you are using in your website is actually readable for users with visual impairments, including color blindness, and it improves the overall user experience. The best practice here that I like to share is use high contrast color schemes, especially between text and background. We should always aim for a contrast ratio of 4.5 to 1 for normal text and 3 to 1 for large text. An example that I would like to show you is, for example, in the image that I'm presenting here, there's a light yellow text on this kind of gray color that is really tough to read. And on the right, we have a much more readable text on this green background. There are plenty of tools available online that you can use to check the color contrast on your website. And in Squarespace, what we can do is go into the style editor, as I'm showing in the image on my screen. And in the style editor, we can adjust colors within the color settings to meet these recommended contrast ratios. Moving on to the third one, and that is alternative text for images. Alternative text is really important because it ensures that images we use are accessible to blind and visually impaired users, because these users rely on screen readers to access the content on our website. What I like about this one is the effect it has on search engine optimization, because it helps search engines understand the content of the image and what the image is about. And what I've often seen when I've done analysis of website visitors for my clients is the increased number of visitors that land on the website because of a very well written alternative text in the photos that are used. Squarespace makes it really easy and convenient way to add the alternative text by simply clicking edit on an image block and filling the alternative text field. So it's important to make this a habit. So as soon as you upload an image while you are designing a website, you should immediately add the alternative text, because if you leave it for a later point, then it has this tendency to be forgotten. Here's an example of alternative text that is descriptive, and it clearly conveys the content and function of an image. At this point, when adding an image to your site, it's really important to determine whether the image has a decorative purpose or whether it is functional. A good example of a good alternative text is as seen on the right, which is a yellow and white traditional style building with ornate window frames and balconies set against a clear blue sky. This is a clear, descriptive, and accessible image compared to a vague one that we have on the left that simply says building. Moving on to the fourth foundational aspect of inclusive design in web, and that is about font size and type choices. I want to emphasize that choosing the right font size and type has to do with the readability for users with visual impairments, and most importantly for users with dyslexia. Dyslexic-friendly fonts and adequate spacing can greatly improve readability on your website. We can use the style editor in Squarespace to adjust the font sizes across our entire website. And it is smart to test different combination of fonts in your website to make a final decision. And we have to ensure that the body text is at least 16 pixels. My advice is to choose substance over style. The best practice on this one is to avoid excessively decorative fonts for large blocks of text. As we can see on the image on the left, we have a font that is categorized as a handwritten font, which is not the best call. And instead, we should prioritize sans serif fonts, as seen on the right side, which are a much better choice. The fifth foundational aspect I'd like to mention is about forms and navigation. This one matters because accessible forms and intuitive navigation are key to making sure that users can interact with your site easily. The best practice here is to prioritize using built-in form blocks in Squarespace rather than third parties to create accessible forms. For navigation, we can use the drag and drop editor in Squarespace so that we can arrange the form fields in a logical manner. And it is smart and preferable to avoid drop-down menus for critical items in our form, because these can be challenging for keyboard users to navigate through and to find them. It's important to label all form fields in an easier for users to in an easy way so that users can fill them out. With Squarespace, you can add labels to each form field, and you can ensure that forms are accessible. You could also, it's one of the good practices in universal design, is adding instructions in the form, as we can see in the image that I'm showing, where the form fields have instructions, and it makes it much more easier to fill them out. Now that we have covered the foundational aspects of inclusive design in web, I'd like to show you two of my favorite components in universal design, and I want to encourage you to think beyond the traditional approaches. One of my favorite concepts is usability, and usability has three core principles, and they are effective, which means can I reach my goal? Efficient, can I reach my goal quickly? And satisfying, do I have a smile on my face when I reach my goal? On your website, usability means, for example, can users complete their goals? For example, can they easily find a product that they are looking for and purchase it easily? Efficiency means, can they complete this task quickly and with minimal effort? For example, is the checkout process on your website streamlined? And satisfaction means, do users have a positive experience through this process? And are they likely to return to your website and recommend your website to other people? I'd like to show you my favorite attribute among many attributes of usability, and that is utility. Utility means, does it do what users need? Usability and utility are equally important and together determine whether something is useful. To understand how this is translated into Squarespace and what it means, we can start with effectiveness. So let's think of a scenario where a user wants to find a specific service in your website. To implement this in Squarespace, you would need to make sure your website search functionality is optimized by using clear, descriptive titles and tags. Also, we should organize our services in the website so that they have a logical, with logical categories in the navigation menu. The search functionality in Squarespace is an essential tool that allows users to quickly find specific content on a website, such as products, blog posts, or services. A website is considered effective when users can easily achieve their goals, such as locating information on your website or just completing a purchase. Think of efficiency as in this scenario. A customer is navigating the checkout process. To implement these principles in our website, we can use Squarespace's built-in e-commerce tools to create a straightforward checkout process with minimal steps. For example, you can enable express checkout and you can reduce barriers to purchase. And the last core principle of usability is satisfaction. Think of a scenario, for example, when a user is exploring your blog for useful information. What we can do to implement this in Squarespace is to use clear headings and engaging images with alternative text and easy navigation between blog posts. Also, you can enable comments on social sharing so that you can increase engagement on the content that you are posting on the website. The second advanced concept that I wanted to show you today is designing for extreme users. There is one thing that we all must understand. There is no average user. The average user is a myth. It doesn't exist. Looking at the extreme users is vital when in inclusive design because it ensures that the website accommodates people with the most specific needs that are at the very edge of our user group. By focusing on the extreme users, such as individuals using screen readers or those with cognitive or physical impairments, you end up creating a more accessible experience for everyone. Let's see how this translates in terms of web design. One thing we can do is use descriptive link text. A bad practice that I've often seen is using vague links, such as click here, and that's because it does not give the user any indication of where the link will take them next or what they can expect. And a good practice is to use clear descriptive text, such as explore our guide on accessibility best practices, because this helps both screen reader users and those quickly scanning the page to understand what is the purpose of the link. The second and last guideline that I wanted to highlight when it comes to designing for extreme users in mind is having consistent button labels. To apply this best practice, it's important that all buttons across the whole website are labeled consistently. For example, if you have a form and you use send for submission on one page, you should label the same action. You shouldn't label the same action submit elsewhere on the website. This is very helpful for users relying on screen readers because it reduces confusion and it makes the website more user-friendly. And by doing this, it's all about keeping things clear and keeping them predictable. To wrap up, I would like to share a manifesto with you, and I want to leave you with a key message that inclusive design isn't just about meeting accessibility standards. It's about creating thoughtful, intentional web experiences that work for all people. The reason this matters is very simple. When we design for the most extreme users, we improve the experience for all users automatically. By focusing on practical actions like structured headings, color contrast, descriptive link test, and having consistency in the website, we create digital experiences that aren't just accessible, but they are effective, efficient, and satisfying to use. The key takeaway is this. Using these tools in Squarespace and having an inclusive design approach and a shift in your perspective, we can all build websites that are not only beautiful for the eyes, but they are also functional and inclusive for all users. I want to thank you all for listening. It's been a great pleasure, and there's only so much that we can cover. So please reach out to me to continue the conversation. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the event. And I want to thank Squarespace